Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Cole Delbick, and we're here live in the studio in New York City. Today, we're joined by perhaps the only person to make it out of Riverdale alive, Ashley Murray. She's played Josie McCoy of the Pussycats fame on the hit CW show for seasons, and now she's striking out on her own in the new spin-off Katie Keene alongside Lucy Hale. The show follows a group of aspiring artists looking for their big break in an even bigger city as they experience the highs, lows, and heartbreak that comes with chasing your dreams. And it finally gives Josie her long overdue chance to shine. So let's make Ashley feel right at home and make some noise. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back.
I love you on Riverdale, and we missed you, but I'm loving you even more on Katie Keene. The show's been out for a few episodes, but I know that you guys wrapped the whole season recently. So how does that feel? Season 1's done, the show is out into the world?
It feels great. You know, we've had a few opportunities before the show actually aired to screen the pilot. We did that at the Tribeca TV Festival, and we did it at the Alamo Drafthouse and BroadwayCon. And I've seen the pilot a lot. And I thought that, oh, you know, it's not going to be a big deal. We're all going to get together and we're going to live tweet. But yeah. And then actually be sitting down in front of a television, watching commercials leading up to it, and then it comes on, and it's like, oh my God, our pilot's on! It was like, I still get really excited, and I'm so thrilled about this show. It's really funny. Like, I don't know if it's just, I don't think it's just because I'm on it. Like,
It's not, I promise.
Josie gets to be a little funnier as the season progresses, but the show in and of itself, it's got so much humor and so much life and so much lightness to it that I didn't get to enjoy in Riverdale. You know, because somebody was always dying.
I know. You'll no longer be running down a hallway being chased by a serial killer. That is done. Those days are behind you, hopefully, unless the show takes a very dramatic turn.
I don't think that. I think New York is dramatic enough. I don't think we need all that extra stuff.
So last time you were here, we were talking backstage. Riverdale was just starting. I think you guys were like 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
Are you remembering what it sort of takes to launch a show and what that time was like? Or does this feel just like a continuation of that sort of Riverdale experience?
You know, I really only have Riverdale to compare to it. You know, this is now my second long-standing role in a television show, and before that, I did a couple of films. It's from what I understand, it's just hard to get a pilot and a first season off the ground. You know, it's like growing pains. That's when you really kind of discover what you have in you and if you have what it takes to make it happen. And this process was a little bit harder for me because on Riverdale, we shot an episode in 8 days. And then in the second and the third season, it extended to 9 with like a 10th tandem day just to give us more space because, you know, if you watch Riverdale, you see how dense it is. There's so much going on. There's so many locations. There's a lot that goes into making that happen. On Katie Keene, we only had 7 days to shoot the episode, and there's still just as much happening. So that was a bit of a learning curve. It was also a new lesson for me working so much more. I have always had respect for all of the like consistently working actors on Riverdale because I know how long the grueling hours are, and I know how much goes into having to learn new lines like on the fly while also reading the next episode. It's a lot. And I didn't experience that, and now I am, and it's tough. I know, like, it looks like it's fun. It's fun being an actor, but it's hard. It's really hard. So, you know, it has its own differences. It has its own rewards, and we're just now starting to reap it. I can't, just watching that clip, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see the rest of that scene. Even when we do ADR, I'm like, oh my God, it looks so good. Oh my God, it was funny. It's the show, it's really great. It's really special.
What I remember about our last time together was how appreciative you felt about that moment. And we had played a clip of you and Robin Givens from Riverdale, and you became really sort of overwhelmed and a bit emotional because, you know, and I mentioned this because Katie Keene is about people getting their big break, and that time for you is when you were getting your big break.
Yeah.
And it felt so special just sort of be a little bit of a part of that. So do you sort of think back to that time and sort of pull from that time to bring to life where Josie is in Katie Keene?
Absolutely. you know, I've said in previous interviews that when we shot the pilot, we were lucky enough to do it on location pretty much like 99% of the time. And in all of the locations where I shot, all took place near very poignant parts of my life. You know, when that scene where we're up in the heights and I'm talking to Katie and we're just getting to know each other, we were pretty much camped out right around like 2 or 3 blocks from where I had my first and only studio apartment. It's the one time out of 12 years now that I've ever lived alone in New York. And then when we're shooting in the studio, that was down in the West Village, and it was around the corner from this small theater that doesn't exist anymore. It was called the Manhattan Theater Source, and that was the very first time I ever did an off Broadway show while I was in college. It was just, there were all these little spots where I remember where I was in my time and in my life at that time, and all of the efforts that I was making and the yeses and the many no's that I got, and I just kept pushing and kept pushing, and I now get to relive that because part of an actor, like part of the job of being an actor is the hustle, you know, and it's easy to forget how much you've done and how far you've come to find whatever your success is. And I am being able to have this experience where I can relive it a bit. And, you know, it's good to be young. You know, it's good to be 20-something running around New York acting a fool. But it's rewarding on so many levels.
No, that must be so satisfying to walk Josie's for Josie to be walking Ashley's steps, like literally around New York.
It's this tandem thing happening between the two of us, and I actually just got asked, like, do I worry about not being differentiated between Josie and Ashley? And I don't, because there are people, you know, that was like it was my big role. It was what helped introduce me to many people. So it's no different than, I know all of Halle Berry's best work, but I first met her as Storm, and I was Storm for 3 years in a row for Halloween and on Tuesdays. Like,
I bet you were a great Storm.
You know, that was my zhuzh. That's how I met her. So I couldn't take that away from people, but, you know, it's nice to be on this type of journey with Josie. It's very different than when she was in Riverdale.
Well, I think there's this common trope with high school shows where people that are older are playing in high school, and we're like, aren't you like 35?
Let me tell you something. When I was 18 and I got my very first bank account, that was back when they first started putting pictures on the debit cards. They don't really do that anymore. It was like some weird little thing, and it was Bank of America. And I found that debit card. I don't know why I still have it, but I found that debit card, and I look exactly the same. I just turned 32. You can have that trope. I get it. There are some people who look like they're all of like 68 trying to get through high school math, and I don't get it. Like, no shade, but like, it's true. I don't have that problem, and quite frankly, it's infuriating to me. Like, I want to be an adult. That's why I'm so happy that Josie's in this space. I get to try to look grown up.
Well, that's what I was saying. It must feel sort of satisfying to okay, I can sort of play more maybe who I am now.
Absolutely.
And having Josie aged up a bit, you can sort of see the progression of her story, and maybe it sort of feels more relatable.
I hope you see it. You know, I feel like I had a really good idea of who I wanted Josie to be when I first started Riverdale, and then, you know, that sort of faded away, and it became more about, you know, just her performing. And now on Katie Keene, there's all this personality to be had, and I really do hope that you can feel that she's in a different space. Like, she's not light years older, but she's a little more mature, and she's doing things that, you know, high schoolers don't really get to do. But listen, I'm trying to be PC. I know high schoolers do all kind of stuff, but
this is not Euphoria.
This is not Euphoria. This is the CW.
I want to sort of touch down on just Riverdale for a second because, you know, I imagine when we were here last time, we talked about even a spinoff for Josie early on in the series.
That's right.
And I was wondering when the character first came about, was a seed planted that one day this character could blossom into her own franchise on her own? And then I was wondering how that sort of paired up with the reality of filming a show like Riverdale, where the plot is so heavy, it's filming at a breakneck speed. Screen time apart from that core 4 is sort of limited. So did those sort of expectations differ from the beginning?
I don't really know if there was a seed already planted about a spinoff.
Yeah.
You know, there were talks of it just because that's the way that television shows like this tend to work. I know that I remember planting that seed when we spoke last about, oh, I would love to see Josie in New York. That was just me. That was just me imagining and, you know, hopeful thinking. And it worked.
It worked.
So, like, it'd be really great if my bank account was super full when I left.
Just put that out there. Yeah.
Just, universe, take it and do what you will. I definitely appreciate the fact that on this show, while you do have these 4 characters, these 4 friends, you get to see their lives individually and the people who are involved in that individuality. And then you see that kind of crossover, so everything ties in. Even when we're not in the apartment is where we come back and we kiki and we throw the information around. But you'll start to see as you watch the show that our lives kind of intersect, whether, you know, we're doing it on purpose or not. And I feel like our writers are very good at finding that balance, which I appreciate because there's so many stories to be told, and that's the beautiful thing about what we're trying to show about New York is that everybody's got a story, you know, and everyone should have a chance to tell it.
For your own story, did you feel like you had to sort of fill in the blanks between sort of last time we saw Josie in Riverdale, she was sort of going out maybe on this tour, sort of faded out in season 3, and then we pick up with her a couple years later in New York. She's moved there, now she's living with all these friends. Did you do a little work on yourself to say, okay, how did Josie get from here to there?
I did. That's the trained actor in me. Oh, listen, I'm sorry.
The fans are crazy. They're coming.
It is. I am trained. No, I like to be very thoughtful about whatever I approach, and those are the questions that I ask myself. Where was Josie? What has she done? What did she want to do? What was she afraid of? To give her that backstory. And I've made a lot of things up. I don't know if they've happened. It hasn't been discussed. If we're lucky enough to fully go into a second season, maybe there'll be room to kind of shine a little light on that. But I just sort of make those own little personal choices myself. They're kind of like little secrets for me. And I think, you know, if I share them with, say, the writer's room, I'm hoping to get there and meet with everybody and kind of chit-chat about what I'd like to see happen. You might find those nuggets dropped here and there, like I said, if we go to a second season, but that's one of the fun things about being an actor. You can just sort of make the choices you want and have the little secrets and see if the viewers figure it out.
I mean, do you get the opportunity to sort of self-advocate in a writer's room like that? Like, now this character is sort of a second skin, and you've played her for so many years now, and now in a different iteration, do you sort of get that chance to be like, maybe she could go in this direction or be paired with this person? Or
well, thankfully, because not every writer's room is like that. Yeah. From what I understand. Again, I've only been on 2 TV shows, but having the luxury of being on a show where I was working with a lot of vets before, they were very vocal about the fact that we are lucky to have showrunners like Roberto and Michael. They're very open and they're very willing to listen. And we also know that they may not have the final say. I want to say if I had to throw out a number, it's like 50-50, but they really push and advocate for us and for themselves and what they feel like is going to be good for the show. So even if it's something that we may not see come to fruition, they still welcome the conversation. So I am a very outspoken person because I like to, it's like this entire process is a collective effort. You know, I'm not in it just for my own advancement. I'm thinking about the character and her relationships to the other characters and this show as a whole, because I care about more than just her. I care about all of it. So we do have the room to share our thoughts, and they hear them and they listen. And like even that, I don't want to take that away from Julia. She's so clever. That I did Sex Saturday line. That's just something that she made up. Like, she was just in the writer's room and had just mentioned, she was like, maybe Pepper does Sex Saturday. And that's what ended up in the script. So sometimes we can come up with really cool one-liners either on the fly or through previous conversation, and we can say, oh, it'd be nice if they did this. You know, I definitely am an advocate of just having that open door policy. It really helps. You know,
It must be really meaningful.
it does. It is. It's very meaningful. It's, you know, working in television can be very mechanical at times. You know, it is a machine that we have to just keep running. We have a day to make, but it's also about what we're making. And I like to be conscious of making the right choices so that the content that we're putting out isn't bad, you know, or isn't offensive. It's tough because sometimes it's like you want to push the envelope, but the right way, kind of like Parasite. I don't know if y'all have seen it yet,
Yes,
but it's good. Yeah, so I could go on, but I'm gonna let you ask me something else.
You know, the musical element to Riverdale was so huge, and then of course in Katie Keene is a major factor. Josie is out here trying to make her dream as a singer come true. And I remember last time you were talking about how the singing wasn't as something you felt as confident in as the acting part of it. And I was just wondering if that's grown throughout the Riverdale seasons, because I love your voice and I listened to the songs. I was just listening to the Anything Goes performance that you did, which is one of my favorites.
That actually is really good.
It's really good.
There are a few songs that I've recorded that I can say for myself that I really loved. And I do really love Anything Goes. I love maybe like 5 or 6, and I've recorded a lot of songs.
What are some of the other ones that come to mind?
I really love the duet that I do with Madeline from Carrie the Musical. I can't remember the name of the song, but that one I really loved. I really loved Cabaret. I felt like my voice was really open and big. Out Tonight, that was a key that I was not normally comfortable with, and it's a hard song to sing. And I sang it. Like they don't really auto-tune my voice. I know there's a lot of very fervent Twitterers out there who like to tell me that your voice is okay. Like, we know it's auto-tune. It's not, boo. I will sing you to sleep. But I really love, there are some songs that I don't think I can name yet because they haven't aired yet, but there are some really beautiful songs that I've done in Katie Keene that I'm very proud of, one of which I actually got to do with Andre DeShields, who we saw plays Chubby. He was the Wiz, and he was the wizard in The Wiz. He's been on Broadway for a really long time. For those who don't know, he is bomb.com in Hadestown right now. Go see it.
Wow, that's so exciting. And so do you feel like more sort of self-assured in the musical parts? Like
Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely not. Oh, okay.
No. There is a hair. Let me get it. There you go. No, it's hard. You know, it's the one thing that I am the most afraid of. I am afraid to sing. I've never wanted to pursue it as a career. It was always acting first. I just happened to be able to sing, but I was terrified because I didn't think I sounded like anybody on the radio. I still don't, and I know everybody's like, oh, that's kind of good, but if I sounded like Tori Kelly, I wouldn't be mad. Like, I don't, but I don't have that kind of voice, and I really, truly, honestly don't have the faith in myself to make something happen. I don't believe it'll be good enough. I don't believe that, if I take more singing classes that I'll push past that discomfort of not liking the way that I sound or feeling like, oh, I sang that wrong or I sang it bad. I don't think that I'll ever get to a point where I'll feel like, oh, I sang that great. It's always good. And I'm sure singers deal with that all the time, but singers also love to sing. And I don't know that it's really that I love to sing so much as I love to perform. I love to give a good performance. I love to make someone feel good that way. And if the vehicle at the time happens to be singing to do it, then, I want to drive, so I got to get in the car.
No, but I think we're all sort of fighting that sort of internal dialogue that we have with ourselves.
It's hard. I haven't figured it out yet.
And
especially
as a public figure, you're sort of also listening, I'm sure, to reactions from fans.
Yeah.
And I know Riverdale is this huge worldwide phenomenon, and you guys have been sort of rocketed towards fame, and that comes with, I think, a lot of challenges, especially in a social
Yeah.
media space. So it must be hard to drown out some of that. But I mean, I want that from you. I love your voice.
I I don't know. There was one song that I sang in the finale of this show of Katie Keene that I sang in a way that I don't usually use my voice, and I really like it. And I haven't fully given over to the fact that maybe that's the type of genre that I should lean into. That's the type of music I should make, because I feel like there's this, for me, I put this societal pressure on myself that I'm this, young, cute little chocolate thing that's got a little vibrato, like she should be doing R&B and like, like that's not like, that's not really who I am. But maybe this other thing is. So I don't know.
Ooh, I can't wait for this finale. We got to tune in.
It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. I really love it.
And we have a ton of guest stars coming through this season of
Yeah.
Keene. I think Bernadette Peters is coming on
Yes.
this week or next week. Any other sort of like Riverdale people that might pop up in the coming weeks?
I don't know.
I think that means yes. I would say I have a dream. I love the original Josie and the Pussycats movie and from the early 2000s. And I'm like, what is Rachel Lee Cook up to?
I
Can
feel
we
like
get
she's
her?
tweeted about it.
Okay. We need to make that happen. Have you ever crossed paths with her? Have you ever, Rosario? Harriet?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, I'm gonna send some tweets to the CW.
Do it.
Rachel Lee Cook, let's get her on. Any other things that you can tease from this sort of the season of Josie's journey? What can we expect?
Just expect to see her. I don't want to color it with anything. It's just that, she's there and you see her go through all sorts of weird New York things, and you I feel like watching the show myself, having been in it, I was personally trying to come out of my shell of being in a different environment with different castmates and working in New York for the first time. And, it was an adjustment I had to make. And you see Josie sort of adjusting to being in that same element. So you just, you'll see me being me.
Well, justice.
Well, not me. It's not me. It's not me.
Justice for Josie. She's finally getting her time. I'm so excited. We have 3 questions from the audience.
Yes.
Nigel, you're first.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Nigel.
When you look at Josie's journey over Riverdale and also in Katie Keene, is there any aspects of character or storylines you've loved exploring as an actress or would like to explore?
Oh, I really want to explore the funny. I'm really funny.
You are. I can attest.
And I don't get to be funny a lot. And there wasn't a lot of room for that on Riverdale. It was usually really, ha ha, he did die, didn't he? It's not, it's a little dark. But I want to see that more fun, kiki humor, best friend thing, where we call each other, I don't know if I can curse, but we drop
You can
beats.
curse, feel free.
Just bitch, you don't really want it. I really want to get into that kind of space. I just want to be a little bit more colorful in that way.
Second question from Michael Antonio.
Mike. Oh, hi.
Hi. You touched on my question already, but I've been dying for a long time to ask you these. Now, I love Rent, and Up Tonight, you tore it up.
Thank
I'm
you.
telling you. And Milkshake. I like how you did the whole thing about Milkshake. But my screensaver, my ringtone right now is You Can't Hurry Love. I got it right off the TV, and I made that my thing. Now, you met Alexander and Alexandria without Sebastian, I must say. Are you going to go into more retro Josie and the Pussycat songs, including the original theme?
I don't know if it's so much retro. There's definitely some original songs that are going to come up in the season of the show. I don't know that it's. I don't want to say that it's retro. I feel like it's still kind of in the beginnings of her figuring out what she wants to do, and it's not really that much of a nod to what we see in the comics. I hope that's all right.
I got to get that ringtone. I want that.
I actually sang the first part of that song. I had to sing that song in 2 sections because I was very, very sick when we started shooting this season. I was sick for 3 or 4 of the episodes. I was sick for almost 2 months. And I was sick when I recorded it. And it doesn't sound like it. I don't know what I am. Like, I don't know how I managed to work it out, but I was full blown like hacking up things, lost my voice after I left the recording studio, and then had to come back like several weeks later to finish the second half of the song. But it does sound nice.
Great. That's the whole thing.
We would have never known.
What I could from the phone.
And we have one last question from Ed.
Ed. Hello, Ed.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hey, Ashley, with you being a Kansas City native, I'm
Yes.
just curious, what were your thoughts on the Chiefs finally winning a Super Bowl? after
Listen,
50 years?
all right, I'm gonna be honest. I have not watched football ever since they kicked out Colin Kaepernick. Like, I truly, I'm down for the cause and I get it and I'm here for it. But the Kansas City Chiefs have not been in the Super Bowl for a very long time. I was the only one in the house screaming. I called my mom. She answered screaming. She actually just sent me a text yesterday with a link to buy these like fleece championship hoodies.
Oh, okay.
And I think I'm gonna get the one in red and black. And I'm just like, it's so Kansas City. Like, I know everybody back home is probably rocking them so hard. I couldn't even find my Jamal Charles jersey to wear when the game was playing, but I'm super hyped. Like, we had the Royals won the World Series. Now the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, if we had soccer, we'd probably kick that too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have to let you go. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, make sure to watch Katie Keene every Thursday on the CW.
Yes, it's on tonight.
It's on tonight. It's so good. Let's give it up for Ashley, everybody.
Thank you, guys.